Carl Tepper sitting in for Chad Hasty. I was browsing the internet and found a survey. The survey was conducted by one of the online universities, WGU, Texas, Western Governors University, Texas, about, they conducted one of those surveys about the cost of education. Do people still see the value in it? What are the barriers to receiving a higher education? It's no secret I've been more than just a little disappointed in my alma mater, Texas Tech, for the skyrocketing tuition, and the state universities in general. Skyrocketing tuition, becoming more and more, less and less about students, more and more about research. I like them both, but in the end, we're supposed to be getting our kids graduate degrees. And so this survey shows 76% cited cost as leading obstacle to obtaining a degree. Family and work responsibilities were cited as challenges in obtaining a college degree for 71% and 69% respectively. And 68% noted that the time it takes to complete a degree presents obstacles to graduation. So I'm proud that I was able to get her. I've got Veronica Ronnye, Vargas-Stidvent, Chancellor of WGU University. Ronnye, do you hear me?
Yes, Carl. Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
Great, Chancellor. Thanks for being on. And now this is an interesting thing because there are a lot of online universities, but they do usually have a central campus. Is WGU completely on the web?
We're completely online, and the exceptions to that are if you're a pre-licensure nursing student, you have to do your clinical work, and if you're a pre-certified teacher, you need to do your demonstration teaching, your student teaching in the classroom just like any other student teacher would. But all your classes are online.
Ronnye, the Internet's been around for a while, and we're pretty comfortable with it. But what are the attitudes from employers about someone receiving their degree online, undergraduate or graduate?
I think they're really changing, and we had a Harris survey that conducted about our own students, and by and large, employers were really, really impressed with them. So we're talking about 96% being very happy with our students, wanting to hire another WGU graduate. So times are changing. I think more and more people are more familiar with online education. They understand that there's high-quality online education like the one that's offered at WGU Texas, and they recognize that that's a really good way to make education affordable and accessible to students who otherwise couldn't attend because of cost and work and family responsibilities.
Can the online universities, WGU, there's others, University of Phoenix, you hear them advertised. If you had credits from another college, we have South Plains College here, Texas Tech. If I had credits from one of these colleges, will they transfer to WGU?
WGU, yes, and we have articulation agreements in place with community colleges, for example. We want to make sure that we're aligning with universities, with our educational partners, so that students aren't losing those credits when they try and pursue their education. And then if the credits don't transfer, what we see for those students who have a lot of work experience, who attended college but didn't finish, they can move quickly through our competencies because they can demonstrate, look, I know this already. Let me go ahead and move through this area of study and focus on those skills, those things I need to learn, rather than spending and wasting my time relearning what I already know.
By the way, that caught my eye. Y'all call it competency based. I was a military aviator. I was a flight engineer on C-130s
yes.
in the Air Force. So essentially, I was considered an aircraft systems expert. I say that loosely. There's a lot of guys who knew a lot more than I did. I'm certainly no engineer at it, but I know quite a bit about aircraft systems, the way a jet engine works, that sort of thing. And it was funny because at my alma mater, they wanted me to take some sort of test to test out of small engine repair or something like that. I did finally convince them to give me the 2 or 3 credits or something, but is there a lot of that? People have experience in the world. Maybe they're a police officer. Maybe they're a med tech, or they come out of the military as a corpsman or something like that. Are you able to are there credits for that?
What they do is they can demonstrate that mastery. So, for example, if you've been a practicing IT professional for 10 years, but you haven't had a degree, you know a lot of those materials that are covered in introductory courses. We aren't going to make you sit and spend a fixed amount of time there. Demonstrate the mastery, demonstrate you know it, and move on. And that's what competency-based education does. You mentioned your experience in aviation, and when the Western Governors got together to establish Western Governors University, they were looking at competency-based education, part because Governor Romer's experience with the Air Force and said, you're not allowed to fly an aircraft until you can demonstrate that you can do that, and that's the approach we take with competency-based education. We're really measuring a student's mastery of skills, not the amount of time they're spending in a seat. And that really changes the model. It's much more student-centered. It's much more efficient and affordable.
So, in English, if you do have an expertise in, you'd have to pick a particular degree field that it would be relevant to. There's probably a test of some sort that you would put them through to see if they have mastered or what their proficiency is in that particular subject.
That's right. What they do is they would come in, and if you're ready to take that assessment for that course, that competency unit, then you would take that assessment when you're ready. And that may be for some students on the first day. It may be after a week, a month. If you have no familiarity with that coursework at all, it might be that it takes you 2 or 3 months to learn that. But it's not about how we're prescribing the time. It's about measuring learning, and so that's what changes it for the students.
Western Governors University, and I didn't realize this, I guess, it was put together by some governors. Tell me.
That's right. So the history is about 20 years ago, the Western Governors were looking at their states, and they said, how do we improve higher education accessibility and affordability? And they were really ahead of their time, and so they thought about it. They thought, we can't build ourselves out of this problem. How do we do this in a way that is affordable and makes sense going forward? And they came up with an online university, and rather than start 19 separate institutions, they pooled their resources, came up with Western Governors University. In 2011, WGU Texas was formed in the state of Texas to have a physical presence here in the state to serve our residents, and that was done in collaboration with the governor and the legislature to make sure that WGU was really serving Texans' needs. And so that's how that came about and how we are here physically in the state to provide better services.
Was that Governor Perry at the time?
Yes, it was.
He did. He actually did a really good job at that. He kept challenging the universities to get a $10,000 or less degree, and then I didn't realize they had done this, Western Governors University, online, and because cost has been the biggest thing, and why continue building bricks and mortars when I've got all the material in front of me on the World Wide Web? So, Ronnye, can you hang on through a break, and we'll
sure, absolutely.
We'll talk a little more. Carl Tepper sitting in for Chad Hasty today, and we have Chancellor Veronica Ronnye Vargas-Stidvent with Western Governors University, which was put together by, how many governors did you say, Ronnye?
Let's see, I believe it was 19, if I'm not mistaken.
About 19, and governors. Who would guess? And so tell me how practically. So this is an online university, folks. Okay, if you missed us, you're just coming in from a break. It's an online university. Of course, they're becoming more popular. A lot of the colleges have had online classes, but there's a lot of confusion whether you have to be enrolled in that particular university to accept the credits or not. And so this is sort of a comprehensive online university where, Ronnye, tell me how practically, I guess you register, you pay a fee, and you start taking classes online. Now, are the classes live or mostly video, or how does that work?
It's a mix of things. So you have your materials you're going through at your own pace, and you can start. Let me back up. When you enroll at WGU Texas, you can start on the first of every month. So especially for working parents or teachers, the academic year is not always the best year to start classes when your kids are going to school. So you can set your own calendar. You start your 6-month term on the first of every month. And you take your courses online. It's a flat rate tuition, so it's just under $3,000 per term, which works out to about $6,000 per 12 months. And if you finished your courses in that term, there's no additional cost to go ahead and start your next set of classes. And so we really want to make sure that we're aligning the economic incentives with our educational goals, because we're a nonprofit, online, mission-based university. Our whole reason for being is to improve access and affordability of high-quality education, and that's what we do. And so we want to make sure that everything we're doing is about the students, it's about their student success, and we mentor our students every step of the way so that when someone enrolls with us, they're assigned a mentor on day one until they graduate who helps them navigate the process, who's with them, who talks to them every week, and helps them get through their degree plan.
Is it by phone call or email or?
Both. I mean, so a lot of our mentors actually talk on the phone. That's usually the most efficient way to do it, is talk and find out what's going on with your life, what's going on at work, how do we make education fit into that picture. Because for so many of our students tend to be older. On average, they're 37 years old. They're working. They're supporting families. They need that support. They need that help, and they need a flexible program that works with life. And that's what we do.
And so it's $3,000 a semester, 2 semesters a year, $6,000 total. And you take as many classes as you want, or?
We require that our students enroll in 12 competency units, which is the equivalent of 12 credit hours per 6-month term. And so most of our students aren't taking concurrent courses. They're taking one at a time during that period. And, yes, if you finish those 12 and you want to go ahead and start the next set early, that's great, and that's a great way to keep your costs down. So we have students who really can accelerate their degree plan because of that flexibility.
Do you have what do you have? Do you have any postgraduate? Do you have a MBA or anything like that?
We do. We offer bachelor's and master's degrees, and we do that in 4 subject areas. Health, so we have a lot of nurses who are working on their degrees. IT, business, and education. So we're actually the #1 producer of STEM teachers in the country, which you may not know about. And we're really proud of those 4 areas because they align with high growth, high demand fields in the workplace. So they're a good fit for the Texas economy and a really great way for our students to further their careers.
Okay, Ronnye, if anyone's interested in this particular university, I guess it's WGU-Texas.com.
It's texas.wgu.edu, or you can put into your search engine, WGU Texas will pop right up. And we'll be happy to answer questions people have. Check out our website. You can call the 1-800 number, and people can walk you through the process and answer questions about how enrollment works, what credits transfer, how we work with community colleges, all of those types of questions.
Great. Ronnye, I want to thank you for what you're doing. We need some more innovation in higher education right now. I think the public universities, certainly even a lot of the privates, have just gotten way too consumed with bricks and mortar. And I love a beautiful campus and all that, but I mean, there's a point where we have to remember what the original core purpose was, which was to provide education for these people, you know. And it's gotten so outlandishly expensive. It's funny. Part of your survey talks about, even though it's gotten outlandishly expensive and people are in more and more debt, people still see the value in having the undergraduate degree. We always still encourage our kids to get the undergraduate degree, but we're starting to have a disconnect between, you know, the value and the cost. So I'm glad to see that people are trying, you know, different things and alternatives to getting us where we need to go.
Well, thank you so much, Carl. We're doing everything we can to keep education affordable and flexible and do our part here for the state. So thank you for having me on the show.
Great. Thanks, Chancellor. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. And what do we got, Jody? Another minute? Oh, look at me, right up against the break. All right. Carl Tepper sitting in for Chad Hasty on the Chad Hasty Show. You know, I wanted to get that in. Higher education's been annoying the heck out of me lately. So I'm glad to see people trying something new, and I bumped into this article.